Hi everyone, it's Mary from A Passion for Paper shop. Thanks for joining me today and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making some journal inserts of these gorgeous little booklets. So they're very thin and they can just be inserted right into a pocket or tuck spot of a larger journal, and I just think they're so versatile and fun to make, and you can complete them rather quickly if you have several pieces ready to go. So let's just take a look at a few of these. I do have these available in my Etsy shop. This is the first one, and I have a lovely digital image sewn onto the front with a bit of cheesecloth and coffee dyed vintage lace. And there's some beautiful detailing on that coffee dyed paper that's underneath this. And when you open it up, you can see the beautiful messy stitching from the cover. And then it's just, I believe it was 5 pages folded in half, including the cover. And I like to include the French book pages. In this case, it's a French dictionary. So we have that page, and then when you open it up, you see some more of that lovely coffee dyed paper. And then, so there's space for journaling, writing notes, and on this side we have this lovely French book page with the torn edge. And this also has a lovely patina on this vintage book page. And then the middle of the booklet is this nice little, very cream looking, very smooth, all in one color. So I have a mixture of some of the papers that I coffee dye come out quite grungy and interesting with all the different shadings and markings, and then I like to do some that are just a touch of color. So this is probably a batch that had a bit more tea and less coffee. I make every batch slightly different and just experiment with all of the colors until I see which color combination I like, and I do a lot of different batches of coffee and tea dye so that I achieve a variety of depth of color and markings. This one has a little bit more variation, obviously. And then we have the other side of that French dictionary book page, and then the back cover. And these are just 20-pound copy paper on the cover of this. Now the cover is a little more substantial because I did print the lady out on cardstock. She's a digital image. Sorry, I can't recall where I got this one. If I find it, I will put it down below in the comments or in the description. But there's just a simple little booklet, so nice to tuck into a pocket. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is 5 pages folded in half, so a little 10-page booklet. And this is just a 2 pamphlet stitch with embroidery thread. So there's that. And as you can see, I have a variety of different covers. This is a digital image that has a bit more of the grungy patina from this coffee and tea dye batch. And then I've hand torn the edges, which also gives a different look. And again, more of grungy, slightly different shades. And again, this one has the same number of pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the center. So what's cool about this one is I did include a coffee dyed digital printout. This is from Ruby and Pearl. I love those old French documents. And so this is another little booklet. You could call it a journal insert. I mean, you could use these as a little standalone gift to give someone or put in a Happy Mail. I just think they're the great little project because they don't take that long to complete. Here's one with some coffee dyed lace. This is from a vintage wedding dress. And then we have what looks to be here like a piece from a coffee or tea dyed tea bag, and another digital image from an old book sewn onto the cover. Now this cover is a slightly different paper. So these are on, I just call it artist paper. It's basically mixed media art paper. So it's a little thicker, and I'm not sure of the exact weight, but feels like a cardstock. And again, you can see the nice messy stitching there on the inside with the loose threads. And then again, we have the 5 folded pages for a total of 10, and a variety of different markings and shadings of color on these. Always put in 1 French book page in every booklet, and the 2 whole pamphlet stitch with the bow in the middle. And again, these are available in my Etsy shop. I sell them in packs of 2. So there's another one. Let's take a look at this one. Is digital that has been quite grungied up from the coffee and tea dye. Again, sometimes I rip the edges and sometimes they're straight. So there's a variety of those. Sometimes I add an extra French book page. This one's from a smaller book, but I love the color of this French book page. And they're all vintage French book pages. I have a variety in my stash that I've collected over the years. I've always been in love with the French language, and so I've been collecting vintage French books for quite some time. Love the grunginess on the back cover of that one. This one, I do have some sewing on the front again. So some do have sewing, some don't. And this is the thicker artist paper. And this is some beautiful vintage lace that I found at an antique shop. And then the Paris label. I love how the sewing looks on the inside with that grunginess and the messy threads. And again, you can see a variety of shades on these tea and coffee dyed papers, French book page, and the embroidery floss in the middle to bind it. So these are all handmade little booklets. Sometimes I call them journal inserts. Sometimes I call them booklets. So they're all different. This one's got a little coffee dyed stencil on it. And this one has a hint of a different stencil. Very faint. Love that look. You could write right over the top. So just want to give you an idea of, there's one with an inspirational word. I love typing those on things. So there's another one, and just quickly go through these last 2. This is a beautiful French ledger. I did buy that, the originals from France, and I've been making copies and coffee dyeing them. So here's an extra French book page in there. These are really pretty grungy. Love the torn edges on these. And then we have another, just a very little bit of French text on this one, Les Lits Rouges. So that's kind of cool. That's a book page that you could write on and journal on, since there's not a lot of text there. And these are the beautiful pages. I love the back cover as well. And the last one I want to show you, and these again are already listed in my Etsy shop. And I've been making a few more that are not quite ready to go. I need to take photos, but there will be more coming soon because I really got on a roll with these. I just been enjoying making them so much. And it is fun to make a lot of them at one time. This one's got some really cool patterns and shading on this coffee dyed, tea dyed paper. And so there's all of our samples, and then we're going to just make, just move these off to the side. We'll make some together. So what I have here is I just pulled a bunch of papers and put them all in a stack that we have to choose from. I thought it would be fun if we did a sewing themed one. I did pull these pages out of some vintage patterns that I recently added to my collection. And then we have the French antique book pages. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the antique one or the vintage one. I have a whole bunch of different ones. So this was left over from another project. Otherwise, I have them in labeled spots. But you can see I just have a variety of different papers here. So what I usually do is I just start looking at the colors and the sizes, and I just start bundling them together, kind of auditioning what I think would look good. And then I just have to kind of keep in mind how many do I have, and then I add or take away if I see something else that I think would look better. And some of them I make more grungy, some a little less grungy. Sometimes I just really like to mix it up. But I do always make sure I have one French language book page, because I feel like that's one consistency that people can count on when they purchase one of these. They're always going to get at least one vintage French book page. Some of them I put music in. So, oh, let me show you. I also have a stack of covers. So here, I also like to go through my little stack of covers. So I do kind of mass make a lot of these, as you saw in the samples. These are some of the covers I use quite a bit. And again, these are on copy paper that have been printed, this image, and then coffee and tea dyed. And you can see they're all from different batches. Actually, these two look pretty similar. They might have been in the same batch, but this is obviously a different one because it's much lighter. I also had these for the covers of a couple of the booklets. I usually like to mix since they come in sets of 2. I do one booklet with the copy paper weight cover, and then some with the artist paper weight cover, because I like to sew on the ones that are artist weight because it's a little more sturdy. So here's a cover that is the artist paper. This one actually has a little pocket that I made already when I was adding these to the stash. So these are all different, slightly different sizes. Let's see, general measurement so you get an idea would be 2, 4, not quite 5 by 2, 4, 5, a little bit more, 5.5 maybe. So here's another one that this is the artist paper, and sometimes I'll just take a piece like this and rip it in half and sew it onto this. Like that looks kind of cool right there. I could do that for a cover, and then just add a little bit of lace or some sari silk on the side, and we're good to go. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to do that right now. So just going to put that on there, and this will be one of the covers. And then we'll get, let's see, I do have a few pieces of lace. Let me grab, I have this bin of a bunch of laces and fabrics, and so I just pull things out of there to kind of, whoops, audition them and see what I might want to put there. Something like that maybe. A lot of them are already coffee dyed. I do big batches, coffee dyeing, lace and fabric, as well as my papers. I think that's too bright. So I think I would like to do something like this along the edge. And then I could take that to the sewing machine and just sew around there, and that will be my cover. And then inside here, just gonna set this to the side. Let's look, this is kind of what I was just pulling together. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the cover is 5. So this is good to go, basically. We'll just pop this inside here, and then I will take that to the sewing machine. And then, so I do them in stages. I would have do all of these, get them all ready, then do the sewing, then come back and do the embroidery. So let's do another one. I liked this dictionary page, and then sometimes I like to vary the page sizes a little bit more. Let's see, I kind of think this is nice. And you can even kind of use that as a guide for ripping. So if I did something like that, and I do like them, different pages to kind of stick out. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that off. You can see I've got a little edge peeking out there, and a little edge peeking out there. And that way this can be inside. So I got 1, 2. Let's do a pattern, that sewing pattern. I think that would be fun. So, and I love these torn edges at the bottom, so we'll build that in. And see, that looks so nice there. I think I'm going to go ahead and rip the top too, so we have a little continuity, and I can kind of feel where the top is of the page underneath. So I'm liking that quite a bit. I might even want to just tear down this part, and I just kind of eyeball it so I can see the page underneath peeking through. I think that looks so nice, and you get a variety of colors. And then could leave the back a little bit straighter, something like that. So now we have one. And I also like to see how it looks when it's open. Is this complementing this? And I love those colors together. So 1, 2, 3. This is so thin, this paper. I love the dictionary papers because of that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, I want to do another French book page. I don't really like it right next to that. I think I want something in between. So pull in something like this. And then we'll do the other French book page here. And that could be the inside. And I think I'm going to rip that down a little. So I like to just see how all the edges are. Actually, that looks nice to me. I might just leave it on this side. Just for visual variety, I would like to rip one of the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and rip this part here. And so that looks nice. Just gives it a little bit more visual interest to see one of the sides ripped. And then I'll move that down a little bit. And then we're checking, oh, I like that number down in the corner there. Looks like 11. Okay. So this is all checking out. And then we have the rest of that sewing page. So let's see, I think we're good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we just need our cover. So if I was to go back and look at my stack of covers, we can find, see, these are so cute. I like to make little books too, so I have little tiny booklet covers, all different sizes. So there's a variety. Sometimes I like to put a smaller cover and have all of these things peeking out. I think that looks really fun too. That's an idea. This one's super grungy. This one even has a hole torn into it. So that's going to be for one of the more grungy looks. And then, you know, you can test it out. Do you want it this way, that way? Turn it upside down. Just doing a little bit more auditioning here. Ooh, I like that. This is nice because we have some peeking through here and we have some peeking through here. I think I would just flatten this up so it's nice and even on the bottom. So this is another one, but this is the artist paper. So then if I made this one, I would need to find something to sew onto the front. And I do have a bunch of different things that I could put on the front. Here's some little digitals that I have cut out already. That seems a little too small. And then it's not bad. So I'm just looking through some of those. And I think I would want to put some lace underneath that. Ooh, I kind of like how that looks. So I could just sew this on here, and I think that would be a delightful cover. So there's another one ready to go to the sewing machine. Now I really want to pick out a cover that's just the copy paper, because now I've done 2 covers with the artist paper. So this is the stack of the copy paper covers. So let's pick one of these. Kind of liking this grungy one. So this is going to be the cover of the next one, and then we're going to find some pages to go inside of it. This one could have a music theme. In fact, I might want to put, no, I'm doing that as the cover. Okay, so two, 3, 4. I think one more music page would be nice. 5. So this is not going to have the French book page in it, but I do really like that idea. So let me grab, I have a Madame Bovary page that I love, these book pages from that vintage French book, and I love the name Madame Bovary. It's such a classic French title. So I think what I'm going to do is just replace one of my other papers with this. So it would be 1, 2, and this is from a foreign language music book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mozart. This is a book page with that beautiful patina around the edge. This one I then don't even need to take to the sewing machine, because this is like the more simpler one, the plainer one with the copy paper top. So this one I can go ahead and sew together and complete it right now without pausing to go to the sewing machine. Just looking for my needles. I've got them in this awesome little octopus that my great niece gave me when I was visiting her in the summer. And so here's a needle that I've already threaded. I like to keep a lot of needles threaded, and it's this lovely embroidery floss on one of these little things. I try to organize all my floss by color. And so let's go ahead and put this together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't measure, I just eyeball it, and I like to use the 2-hole pamphlet stitch, make sure they're all in the right place, and I just come down about so, poke my needle through, and then I do the other one, poke my needle through. So both from the inside. And I'm going to go back and go through the first one I did and just pull some of that through, and then make sure I still have the exact hole. And I do like to poke it through from the inside first and then come back out. So there's my 2-hole pamphlet stitch. And my next step is to pull one of those through. And what I like to do is keep a lot of this embroidery floss on the needle so that I can just use it again for the next booklet. I don't need to rethread it. So that's kind of a cool little trick. So I pulled that through to make sure I have enough, and then I'm just going to estimate enough thread on there to tie it in a bow. So let's go right up to here. I'm going to say I'm going to need about this much. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off of this. And it's always easier to cut it too long and then cut it again, trim it. So if you don't have enough, that's the worst. So then you just have to take it out and start over. So I like to give it a little extra as opposed to a little too little. And then I just do a regular knot. I do double knot it, and then I put it in a bow so that it's nice and firm and gonna stay. But yet somebody could still take it out if they really wanted to. And I like the bow. I think it looks really charming on the inside. And I always choose an embroidery floss color that will complement the neutrals. There you have it. So that one is finished. Now, this to me looks a little bit too much on this. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of that off. Now, this is very old music page, so it is quite brittle. And sometimes when it's super brittle, I will even reinforce it with washi tape. So I think that looks a little better. It was just hanging out a little bit too much. But there we have it. Completed little booklet. And then this would be just perfect and darling to tuck into a little journal. So journal insert, booklet. There you have it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And again, I could always come back and show you what they look like after I've sewn these together on my next video. So come check that out when it's ready. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.